All right, we just finished up UFC Fight Night Rountree Hill. It's pretty mediocre card. There's some fights on it that were bangers. Main event was kind of a sleeper. Fiziev's back. All around, pretty decent card. But yeah, we'll just start from the top. First fight of the main card was Muhammad Naimov versus Bogdad Grad.
Bogdan.
What?
Bogdan.
Oh,
Not
Bogdan. Bogdan Grad. It was a pretty solid fight. Muhammad Naimov caught him with the spinning wheel kick in the first round. Rocked him for a second. But both these guys look like great prospects because they were both just going back and forth showing their talents. Muhammad Naimov landed the wheel kick like I just said, and then Bogdan, immediately after that wheel kick was landed and he stumbled a little bit, immediately shot a takedown and was able to stall until he recovered. And the scrambles back and forth were great. There was some grappling, great striking. Round one, Muhammad Naimov took the edge with the strikings 24-23, but obviously he had the bigger strikes with the spinning wheel kick. Round two, you could give it to Bogdan, I think, but it was a close round again. And round three, Muhammad Naimov kind of just took over.
Second fight of the main card, we have the Black Wolf taking on Mata. It's the freaking Black Wolf.
Yeah.
The Black Wolf's incredible. He did what we thought he was going to do. Incredible fight, though. Back and forth.
Freaking lived up to the hype.
Lived up to the hype for sure. That was
He
a great
had
fight.
Maybe 10-fight win streak going into this, and then he just added another finish to that win streak. I think it was like a 10-fight win streak before this with 9 finishes. And now it's an 11-fight win streak with 10 finishes. This guy is the real deal. The fight was crazy though. First round looked like he was going out.
I thought he was done.
Thought he was done.
What did they say was 75?
It was like
he had a 75 punch
75,
combo.
that's like a video game
unanswered.
combo. That's a video game combo right there. But if you really watch it, he just shelled up. I think he said he had the wind knocked out of him, and then he was kind of just like hitting a little shell, blocking all the shots, and then second round you just started seeing him piece him up with those elbows. This guy might go on to be the Dr. Stoppage King, because I've never seen somebody cut so many people like that in the UFC. He's already got, 2 or 3 Dr. Stoppages in the UFC, and it looked like he was going to get this guy with a Dr. Stoppage. He sliced his forehead down real bad.
The elbows were nasty.
Elbows were
nasty.
Elbows
Busted
were
him
nasty.
open.
Yeah, and then ended up hitting it with the hook combination to finish him. I was getting worried, though, because Nazim was kind of open to those hook combinations, as you saw in the first round.
Yep.
He gets hit with those hooks, and in the second round, he was really willing to trade in the pocket, and he was getting hit with some big shots, but he was giving them back. And yeah, this guy's the real deal. This guy is really good. So yeah, that was pretty awesome.
That was a pretty great fight to watch.
Yeah. Next fight, we got Tafik versus Miktabek Oralbai, and wow. First of all, Tafik looked a lot worse than I thought he was going to, but I mean, it's kind of what you expect when you get an older guy going into the UFC, and he hasn't fought in 2 years, and he's getting finished in other organizations. But Oralbai looked really good. Got a lot of good takedowns. Every takedown he did, he would also land like a hook while he was landing the takedown, and he submitted him in the first round, just absolutely dominated him. The UFC's just been shutting down all these guys from the outside organizations. You got freaking Chandler, you got Patchy Mix, who else you got? Pitbull. Everyone's getting shut down. They're just getting shown levels. I feel like the UFC's just signing these guys at this point just to show levels at this point.
Yeah.
Like, they're just signing these guys to just dominate them. What'd you think?
Yeah, Tafik looked pretty bad. He looked a little old.
Yeah.
Tough UFC debut. Oralbai did a great job catching the kicks and then countering, and then using that also to get the takedowns.
I'd say Tafik's a veteran, but he really didn't look like he really knew what he was doing on the ground. His ground game looked pretty bad for somebody that's been fighting martial arts for that long, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pretty bad.
Looked a little outmatched. Excited
for Oralbai's career, though. That guy's a good prospect. I like him. We don't want to talk about this one.
All right, next we have Curtis Blades versus Rizvan Kuniev. We kind of thought Kuniev had no business being in this fight. We thought this was just a wild matchup, and that Curtis Blades would just walk right through him. Curtis Blades kind of let us down. He let us down. He said he popped his MCL, I think, in the first round.
It was garbage.
I don't know. That did not look good. Obviously, if he was injured, that would explain it a little bit, but that was a rough watch. I don't even know if you actually really won that fight, to be honest.
Yeah, we kind of put balls in the line for this fight. We went really, really hard on Blades, and he looked terrible. That was one of the worst performances I've seen from. I guess that's just the typical heavyweight performance, but like, I thought he was one of those guys that like wasn't at the level of these crappy heavyweight contenders. Normally, he puts out a good showing, and even though he's losing to guys like Tom Aspinall, Jelton Almeida. Like, these are really solid contenders, and he just looked terrible. His striking was awful. I thought he was going to have a striking advantage. He was boxing with Sergey Pavlovich in that first round. Go back and watch the fight. He's tagging him up. Not in this. He had zero boxing, so maybe he was injured. Both these guys would get smoked by any good heavyweight. Imagine Tom Aspinall in there with these guys. Literally, I mean, we've already seen it with Curtis Blades, 1 minute. But Kuniev, I literally think 30 seconds. Like, these guys have no business being in the best fighting league in the whole world. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a tough watch. Thought Curtis Blades was going to show some distance, show he's one of the best in the world, and this guy's making his debut after fighting we thought bums.
Yeah.
The records show that he's fighting bums and he's getting a record padded, and just got busted for taking steroids, but
yeah,
he still got the win, I guess.
I don't know what you do.
I guess that's all that matters, but
to be fair, also I want to talk about. I don't think Blades won that. If you go based off damage, Blades definitely lost that fight. Let's look at the round by round. Round 1, I thought he took round 1. He had him up against the cage. Round 2, 26-19 on strikes, and round 3, it says 61-19 for Blades. But significant strikes is 28-13. But I really thought the bigger moments in round 3 were Blades got the edge on the strikes in the third round. But I feel like if you look at the bigger moments, Kuniev got the bigger moments. But it really doesn't matter. It was just a terrible performance for both guys. It really was just painful to watch. Now we got the co-main event, Fiziev versus Bahamondes. Gotta say, this fight went exactly how I thought it was going to go. I don't mean to brag here. But I thought going into this that Bahamondes, his advantage here was that he had the deeper bag, he had better grappling, and he had good striking, but he also had the X factor of having a little bit of grappling. But the problem was his takedowns suck. He doesn't really take anybody down. Most of the time he uses his grappling is off his back, which I'll talk about that in a second. But I thought Fiziev has a clear advantage on the feet, so I thought that in the past, we've seen that his takedown defense is really strong, and he's going to be able to keep this fight on the feet. And there, he'll be able to have a masterclass and show levels to Bahamondes, and that's exactly what he did. He had a great fight. What I really like about what he did this fight was that normally we see him put on a show. He's like a Justin Gaethje style fighter. He's all about putting on a show for the fans. But in this fight, I really think he took his time. And he focused on not gassing out and picking apart Bahamondes. He really scared me, though, when he was taking him down. Because I'm like, this is literally the only time that you're, like, putting yourself in a situation of being submitted. I feel like that was the only time that Bahamondes has an area advantage over Fiziev. And Fiziev kept throwing himself in his guard with those takedowns. But I guess Fiziev was confident in his grappling. And, yeah. You have any thoughts?
Yeah, no, he looked good. He kept his pace, wasn't rushing, focused on not gassing out. He stuffed all the takedowns. The only point in the fight that looked dangerous was when he was shooting the takedowns himself and kind of like he was just instantly putting himself into a submission.
Yeah.
But it worked out for him.
Yeah, it's great.
Great fight. I think it was a great fight.
I got 2 potential opponents I want to throw out there for you.
All right.
Number 1, it's kind of the boring route. Whatever, you run back the Gamrot fight. Because Gamrot's kind of just sitting around looking for a fight. Mm-hmm. He's up in the rankings. I think he's around 6 right now. Kind of makes sense. Fiziev might move up to 10 with this one.
Is he number 11 right now?
Yeah, okay. I think he might be around 10. But we all know that Fiziev he deserves to be up there in that top 10 region. So I think that's a good fight. It was meant to be a long time ago. That could be what happens, right?
Right.
Let me give you another option.
Let's hear it.
Let me give you a crazy option. Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway fight. Dustin Poirier is looking like he's in great shape. He's already 2-0 over Max Holloway. Let's say Dustin Poirier goes 3-0 over. Let's say Dustin Poirier goes 3-0 over Max Holloway. I'd like to see Max Holloway coming off a loss versus Fiziev. You put that as like a co-main event of a pay-per-view. 5-round co-main event of a pay-per-view. 5-round
that could be nice.
co-main event of a pay-per-view. That would be insane. Max Holloway versus
that'd be
Fiziev.
pretty crazy.
That's a huge fight.
Yeah. I was a little lost there. I thought they were going to go with Dustin. I was going to say that makes no sense whatsoever. But that's a totally different direction that I wasn't even prepared for. That would be pretty insane.
Max is 5 right now.
Okay, he's number 5
so
right now.
he's around the same area as Gamrot.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think that'd
be a pretty great fight. That'd be really entertaining.
I feel like Max would take it too, coming off. It's a really good matchup for Max because Fiziev often gasses out, so I feel like he'd take that fight. But I feel like that would be one of the greatest fights ever. That'd
be a banger.
That's a Gaethje Chandler when it happened level matchup right there.
Yeah, no, that'd be a crazy fight. I'd love to see that.
Okay, now we got the main event: Hill versus Rountree. Any thoughts?
I mean, Rountree executed his plan perfectly. He was in control of the entire time. Didn't gas out, which I think was kind of a concern after the Pereira fight. Used his kicks more, as going kick for kick with Jamahal Hill. A little slow at times, I feel, but he's in control. There's no need to take any risks with Hill. You see Hill kind of complaining to Rountree after the fight or having their discussion, whatever he was saying, but kind of questioning why he didn't step in and take charge more and take the fight to him. But as he kind of said, that's his whole plan. You gotta play it safe and you gotta protect yourself. I don't know why Jamahal Hill's coach told him that it was kind of close.
Yeah, that was crazy.
5th round. That's pretty insane. I think that's kind of why you see that reaction out of Hill during the scorecards being read.
Yeah.
Even though I think he definitely knew he was losing, but after your coach tells you it's a close fight, you probably don't expect to be getting 50-45. So
yeah, that's insane. That picture's gonna get memed so hard.
Yeah, he's on the wrong end of a couple memes right now. He's gonna have the Pereira. He's gonna have that. I mean, he got dropped a couple of times, and I'm sure was making some wild faces during that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, I thought it was a really good performance from Khalil Rountree. Definitely not entertaining. It was pretty boring, but if you're like, there's gonna be a lot of hardcore fans that are out there like, oh my god, it was beautiful masterclass. And it was. The moments where there's big moments, it was really awesome to watch, but there's like 3 minutes in between every single one of those. That kind of sucked. But Khalil Rountree showed that he's really high level. I think he's top 4 fighters in this division, maybe top 5. I think it's probably Alberg, Rountree, Yuri, Ankalaev, Pereira for that division. And I'd like to see Rountree versus Yuri after this.
I think it'd be a pretty great fight.
Both coming off of losses to Pereira and then wins over Jamahal Hill. Kind of looking for one more fight before the title. You do a title eliminator with them versus, Yuri versus Khalil, and you do Pereira versus Ankalaev. Have the winners fight each other. That'd be pretty awesome. How far do you think Khalil goes in this division? You think he beats a Yuri?
I don't think he beats a Yuri.
Really?
That's tough. Because I feel like Yuri, you never know what Yuri's going to do. I don't know. I feel like he's kind of just chaos. I feel like Rountree kind of today showed that he's going to come in with a game plan. He's going to stick to that game plan. He's going to be kind of calm and collected.
Yeah.
And Yuri's just kind of out there spazzing out. And, he might do something amazing. He might put himself in danger. And while he's in danger, keep trying to just throw some crazy stuff. So,
yeah.
I think it'd be tough. I think he'd have to have a very similar performance kind of to today, where he comes in, stays calm, doesn't really engage.
Yeah.
Unless it's on his terms, and maybe. But I mean, Yuri, you have the grappling threat from Yuri too, kind of.
I'm trying. I don't think Yuri is too much. The only time I
can
think of
is a submission.
The only time I think of him having that submission is against Glover.
That's the only time.
I think it's pretty dangerous for Yuri because Yuri's calves get kicked out a lot.
That's true.
So that's kind of scary for Yuri. But also his striking looked next level against Jamahal Hill. But I think the problem with a lot of these top level light heavyweights is when they face actual high level strikers, because most of the division is just these like kind of well rounded guys like Anthony Smith and Nikita Krylov that aren't really good anywhere. And so you can be a guy like Yuri, or you can be a guy like Jamahal Hill that have a lot of power, but not the craziest or best technique. And you can go in there, you can just light up all these contenders. But when you fight an actual good striker like Pereira or Khalil Rountree, you get messed up. You get destroyed. So I think that's a really good fight. I think it's a good fight to make. I think Jamahal Hill's manager is kind of ruining his career. He keeps picking in these terrible, terrible fights for him. I think Jamahal Hill has a big ego, so whenever he loses, he's like, all right, just give me the hardest competition that's going to get me closest to the title. But he needs a bounce back fight. He needs not an Anthony Smith. He needs like a Nikita Krylov, or he needs like a Paul Craig rematch. He needs like a big step back in competition where he can get his confidence back and destroy them, because I think honestly Jamahal Hill probably beats everybody outside, not everybody, but most of the people outside the top 5 light heavyweight, because the division sucks. And the top 5 it's a really top heavy division. Top 5 is pretty solid, but outside that it sucks. And I think that's why Jamahal Hill was champ, was because before these guys got there, that division was easy. And I think if he just takes a step back, gets a couple wins so he doesn't get cut by the UFC, then he'll be fine. I think he'll be probably around that top 10 range till the rest of his career. But he just needs I'd like to see a Paul Craig rematch, maybe.
Yeah,
Those are my thoughts.
I agree. Do you think the injury has anything to do? Like, he had the injury, and then he comes back and it's against Pereira, and then he comes back pretty quickly against Yuri, and then he's now against Rountree. Maybe having some lower level fights lets him kind of ease back into like an actual fight post.
Yeah, I think it's the matchups most. The injury's definitely a big part.
I think it's mostly the matchups. Just like
the matchups suck.
It's kind of tough to come back from like a torn Achilles
he was
or something like that and come back and it's Pereira.
Yeah.
UFC 300. Pereira.
It just Jamahal was the guy that he was going to war trading shots with Glover. Like, he's gonna dominate those guys, the ones that are grapplers that strike a little bit. Like, that's where he's gonna do. He has great takedown defense. He's gonna make him stay on the feet, bring him into a war. But like, I think these striking specialists are always gonna smoke him. So I think he's just had a rough. He literally got the 3 striking specialists back to back to back in the division. Like, the worst thing, I feel like what his manager is going to do is going to make him do like a Carlos Ulberger Polish power fight next, and he's going to get smoked. Like, stay away from those 2 guys. Fight Nikita Krylov. Fight Paul Craig. Fight somebody that's more of that base and get a win. That's what I'm saying.
Yep, yeah. That's what he should do. We'll see what actually happens and see what these guys end up.
We went 5-0 on the picks. Pretty solid.
5 for 5.
5 for 5. Pay-per-view next week. Pretty pumped. We're going to be coming out with some videos for that.
Yeah. Hopefully some bangers.
Yeah.
Hopefully get some more right.
Yeah. Let's keep the streak going. Keep the streak going.